next speaker is so special. HARTEJ SAWHNEY, I want you to introduce yourself with a special look, and he's going to be telling us about how to launch tokens, right?
How's everybody going? Hopefully your food is digesting. This is a not fun slot to speak on, but it is really fun to be in Tel Aviv, and it's really fun to be here. So, yeah, shalom. Toda. Thank you for having me. I like learning languages. I'm going to talk a little bit about launching a token sale. I'm going to keep it as brief as possible, and I'm really glad that this summit is relatively smaller and less overwhelming, and we're able to get to know each other and have a less stressful environment compared to being in New York City at Consensus. But this is really nice. So I'm going to talk about launching a token sale more from the perspective of running a security firm in the space. So our company is HOSHO, and we are known to audit smart contracts and find security vulnerabilities in smart contracts. And so after auditing over 100 ICOs to date and finding security vulnerabilities in smart contracts, we've learned a lot, and we have a very unique perspective. And so I thought I'd take a step back and quickly talk about launching a token sale, some advice, some tips from a security perspective, and how you should be thinking about things. And so I start this presentation off with more of an early stage VC perspective, where you're asking yourself things like, why are you specifically qualified to be doing this product and project, and what problem are you actually solving? And I find that sometimes people get, they think this is an early stage VC presentation, and they get overwhelmed by these very basic questions. But in crypto, I think it's very important for us to have, at least for me, I used to try to get into Y Combinator, and I come from the tech background. And if you're ever even applying to a tech accelerator and you're trying to do a pitch or a demo day, well, these are very basic questions. You know, the VCs want to know, are you making 10 to 25K MRR? What problem are you solving? And why are you uniquely positioned to even be tackling this problem? The other day I met 3 Saudi Arabians who went to Penn State University. They majored in petroleum engineering. They come from a background of all 3 of their families own oil. And all 3 of them are trying to tokenize the oil industry. Uniquely qualified? Yes. That's exciting to me. Versus I met 3 MBAs from Wharton who analyze the entire blockchain industry and realize that they really want to be in it, and they're deciding between a white-labeled cryptocurrency exchange or a crypto hedge fund. I'm not personally as intrigued. They may be successful and that may be investable to other people's theses, but not me. It's a really magical thing that shows you all of the ICOs that have happened to date in the hundreds of millions of dollars that they've raised. You've probably seen it on YouTube. It starts with a small little dot, and then you see another little dot get bigger and bigger, and you see these massive ICOs that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And this year alone, in 2018, $6.3 billion was raised through the fundraising mechanism known as an ICO, or a token generation event. That's a 110% increase to the amounts of fund raised through ICO in the entire year of 2017. And so the fundraising mechanism of an ICO, I think, is not about to slow down. And it's only about to speed up. Oh, here it is. It's happening. So there's a dot on June 20, 2014, and this is the ICO market space. And you can see on the top left, funds raised via token sales. I think what's really interesting here is that more and more ICOs, as they come out and more people take advantage of the fundraising mechanism, what is not being discussed enough, in our opinion, is security, and what were the best security practices taken by this company before launching. And what's also interesting to me is that during this time, venture capitalists they didn't have as much of a play in this early ICO space. But now with security tokens, I think venture capitalists are back into play, and they actually do matter again. And they're looking into things like special purpose vehicles to do an investment. I'm being thrown off by like lots of slide changes and stuff. All right, strategic investors. So strategic investors is the topic that I talk about, that if you're launching an ICO, you're launching a token generation event, and you're looking for investors, I'm finding that people are contacting me even and saying, will you be our advisor? Can we just put your picture on the website? I don't know you. I don't know your name. I haven't read your white paper. I have no idea what your project is. My advice to you is to go out and find a strategic investor. So for the example of my friends who are trying to tokenize the oil industry, it would be in their best interest of finding someone who understands the oil industry, or if they're looking to expand into crypto, has built decentralized applications before, or possibly they can help them raise capital from top-tier investors who will, in the future, help them find more capital. And to me, if you're going to list someone as your advisor of your company, I personally would want that person to also put their money where their mouth is. So if they themselves weren't willing to invest into either the equity of your business or to the token, then how can they viably be making introductions to other investors? The other investors are going to say, well, you didn't invest, so why should I? Legal counsel, eventually the slide will come. Legal counsel is super crucial. I'm contacted by companies on LinkedIn that say, we'll guarantee you X% return on your investment. And I respond with, seek legal counsel. This is illegal. And you always get a response back, no, we have SEC lawyers, we have the best lawyers in the game, no worries. And seeking legal counsel is super crucial, especially if you're American. You should get a personal lawyer and a corporate lawyer. You need both. And it's very important to try to think about things like, what is our jurisdiction? Where are we based? How many of the what passports do the founders hold? Have we accepted any U.S. money? I mean, right now there's RSK is raising a Series C round of funding, Rootstock, and they're not taking any American investors, even in an equity round of funding. And I'm being contacted so much within our crypto community saying, have you heard that the Rootstock is raising capital? It's a Series C round of funding. But the reality is that they're actually not taking money from American investors, and this has been the advice of their legal counsel. And then it's important to take a step back and ask yourself, why do you even need a token? And if you need one, then how are you going to leverage it within a decentralized application? I was having a talk with my friend Ori Levy yesterday, and we said, the funny thing about the ICO space right now is, the truth is that you're launching the token, well, you're raising a private pre-sale, and people have invested in the pre-sale of this token, and then you've issued the token, quote-unquote, by giving it to those people who invested in the token. The token then gets listed on some exchanges and starts trading, and then that's it. Like, what happened to the token being actually used in a decentralized app? What happened to all the vision that was in the white paper? Like, at least right now, the game that we're seeing happening is, here's an idea, here's how I'm going to possibly leverage decentralization, give me millions of dollars, I'll give you a huge bonus, and then give me your address, I'm going to give you the token. It'll be listed on these exchanges, and people can buy and trade it and have a lot of fun. Anyways, pick a blockchain, commit to it is interesting because, a year ago, all I did was audit ERC20 tokens on Ethereum. Everyone was trying to fundraise on Ethereum. And now we have a shift. We have EOS, Cardano, Stellar, and I'm auditing on these newer blockchains. And the newest thing I'm hearing is, well, eventually we're going to go to EOS, but right now we got to finish the ICOs, the ERC20 token. We're going to do Ethereum today. So my advice to those people is maybe you should evaluate picking one blockchain and committing all of your resources to it. If you're going to go EOS now. Don't do your ERC20 token and just try to do the fundraising mechanism. So your white paper and your smart contract. So once you've come to the conclusion that you want to do an initial coin offering, you want to launch this token, and you decided to start writing your white paper and your smart contract. The biggest problem and mistake I'm seeing is people are outsourcing the development of the white paper abroad to somebody, and they have someone else writing their smart contract. And usually on two completely continents. You've got some guy in Hong Kong writing the smart contract and some guy in India or girl writing the white paper. And the issue we're having is, just last week, we were auditing a smart contract where about 600 million tokens were supposed to be issued in the white paper. And when you actually look at the smart contract, the code was only issuing 200 million tokens. They were off by only 400 million tokens in the code and the white paper. Just very small error. And the following day, we had a company that had raised $50 million who came to us with a 10-day deadline, which, by the way, we asked for 4 weeks. And the first thing my engineers found with their naked eye, essentially, was a critical vulnerability where they had infinite token generation. And these are very sophisticated companies, If they were on stage at a Y Combinator pitch, it'd be like, we're all MIT alum, 3-time exited, da-da-da-da-da. And then you look at the code, it's complete shit. Like, the smart contract and the white paper need to be married, and it's a good idea to have those two human beings, if they are two human beings separate, to be in the exact same room to try to think about what is the business logic of this token going to be. What are we planning to intend on solving? What is this problem? How is this token going to actually be used in this decentralized application? And the biggest mistakes in security that we're finding actually mostly have to do with the business logic and less to do with the actual core code in the smart contract. It's more about the smart contract's business logic of how this token is going to be used. And that's where we're finding security vulnerabilities. We're finding mistakes, just clear mistakes. So on this front, on this topic, I really wanted to say that if you're doing an ICO, it's good to find some of these quote-unquote one-stop shops like Token Market and Block 51, because there's a few of these uniquely qualified people in the space that can coach what it seems like a lot of the ICOs need is coaching to say, hi, okay, I know everybody in the space that you're going to need, and I'm going to introduce you to the best people for writing a smart contract, writing a white paper, auditing the code, doing your PR, getting you to the right conferences, and basically telling you how our current blockchain community works in terms of connecting to it globally. And so there's a couple of really good one-stop shops that I recommend. Block 51 and Token Market are the two that Hosho partners with, and we find them to be doing a quality job, and it's important for us to recommend those types of partners to mitigate our risk. So I talked about this a bit, but it's on the security journey. A lot of companies are not valuing security in-house. They're not hiring anybody that is in charge of their security practices. Normally when I speak with companies and I ask them, so who's in charge of your company of security? And they just point their fingers at the CTO. And the CTO's looking at his engineers like, so who's in charge of security? And it's just not how it works. They're in charge of software development. Someone at your company needs to be thinking about what hardware and laptops is everybody using? Did we make a protocol for what emails do all of our staff open? The number one weakness in cybersecurity at a company is always usually human. It's usually a human error. A common story I've shared at a couple of conferences was a client of ours had a spear phishing attack where more than $16 million was stolen in BTC within 24 hours from a company because one of their employees opened up the wrong PDF. And she has a dog that she professionally competes in competitions with, and the hacker had looked at all the profiles of all the employees, followed them on social media, and found out that this woman is obsessed with her dog and these competitions. And the hacker made a fake website for the dog walking dancing competitions, and made a fake website for a competition happening right next to her house, found even like the local area where they actually would viably have the venue, and she opened it and she signed up for this dog walking competition. And as soon as she clicked that PDF, the hacker could see all of her keystrokes and the hacker could see her entire screen. And from that point, the hacker monitored all of her passwords to get into the company's database, and the hacker stole $16 million in BTC within 24 hours. And so the humans are the biggest weakness. And we think about things like two-factor authentication. And then when we eventually talk about the token generation event, and we're saying who's going to code the smart contract, once it's coded, who's going to audit it, if not multiple times? I mean, quality projects, even games like Angry Birds. Everyone's heard of Angry Birds, made by Rovio. Even when Angry Birds was launched to the Apple iTunes store, it was audited. The code was audited. But if Angry Birds gets hacked, nobody gives a shit. It's just data. When Home Depot got hacked, no one gave a shit. It was just data. But in this space, when a smart contract gets hacked, money gets stolen. And that's the scary part. And if you as an individual are the founding partner of a company and your smart contract gets hacked, your life is over. Like, it's done. Say goodbye to your career. Say goodbye to your reputation. Because you're the face of this company, and your smart contract, more or less, is irreversible. That there's no way of, the way the smart contract's been coded, there's no way to reverse it. And that if there's one security vulnerability, you're screwed. So go get an audit, and get an audit in a timely fashion. Get a penetration test of your website is the second thing you can do. So there was a company, CoinDash, CoinDash had a website built in WordPress. And the night before their launch of their private presale, we have a hedge fund in Las Vegas that I'm an advisor to. And we were doing diligence on this project. And we were considering an investment in CoinDash, and we actually contacted them the night before, shot them over an email and said, your website has extreme security vulnerabilities. It's built in WordPress. It's unbelievable. We were in utter shock. And the next morning, the hacker actually hacked into the website and just changed where the Ethereum address is to be sent to. And so at that time, about $13 million or so of Ethereum was just sent to the wrong Ethereum address. And they could have avoided this by having their website gone through a penetration test. Same thing goes for cryptocurrency exchanges. At the end of the day, it's a website and it's code, and every time code changes on a daily basis, that means that there's room for a security vulnerability. And so it's a big step we're taking also is to work closely with cryptocurrency exchanges so that we can monitor that code on a daily basis and have more of a white hat approach, or white turban in my case, and to try to hack into this cryptocurrency exchange before they get hacked. And we're hearing stories like in Japan where there's $500 million stolen from a cryptocurrency exchange. This is the type of thing that can be avoided by getting penetration testing done at your exchange. Yeah, we're done. Time's up? Sounds good. You guys are not privy to the remainder of this. I'm easy to find online. My name is HARTEJ, H-A-R-T-E-J. These are just examples of huge hacks that have happened in this space. Parity, CoinDash, Bitfinex. I'm easy to find. HARTEJ, follow me on Twitter, the HARTEJ. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me.